the Speaker is about to take a road.
Do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our concerns.
Announcements. I wish to welcome all members of the Parliament of Saint Lucia, senators, as well as parliamentary representatives to this Youth Parliament in honor of our 38th Independence Anniversary. I wish also to bid a happy welcome to all the visiting students of Youth and Saint Lucia, as well as the general public who are viewing us live via the television or internet. Honorable members, I am in receipt of communication from Honorable Alan Chasney apologizing for the inability to attend today's sitting as he is attending a very important budget meeting. I am also in receipt of a message from the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Mauricia Thomas Francis, expressing her regrets for not being with us today. An apology was also received from Senator Adrian Auger, who informs that he is unable to be here as he is currently out of state. Minister Dominic Fede informs that while he will be attending today for a few minutes, he will leave to attend an important meeting with government. Statements by ministers. Statements by ministers. Honorable Member for Denver North and Minister for Heritage, Culture and Creative Industries.
A pleasant good morning, Madam Speaker, to the honorable members of this House, the students of the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School, and the students of the Bocage Secondary School. Madam Speaker, I am honored to sit in this chamber to speak as Minister of Heritage, Culture and Creative Industries. This 2017 Youth Parliament is meant to be a turning point for the young people of Saint Lucia. It pains me as a young person that the word youth is solid and any activity associated with youth is automatically derogatory and unproductive in our society. Madam Speaker, as I look around this chamber at my colleagues, I feel moved. I feel moved, Madam Speaker, because we all are productive members of our communities and of our beloved Saint Lucia. we do care about our country. It is beyond my comprehension how the interest of young people in this country is determined and how decisions are made on our behalf devoid of our input. There is no such thing as a youth issue. All issues affect our youth directly, and it also could be indirectly. There needs to be an... You may ask, Madam Speaker, why does it need to be so? I will tell you the reason. The tenure of those who currently lead us must come to an end. It is inevitable. Provisions must be made to pass the proverbial baton onto our young people so we are holistically prepared to elevate the development of our sweet Saint Lucia. For we are the leaders of today. For this reason, young people, we need a platform to air their views on our issues, and Youth Parliament is an integral vehicle. The relevant authorities must make the effort to move Youth Parliament beyond a once or twice a year exercise. It must become the vehicle by which young people from all corners of the island, the lengths and breadths of Saint Lucia, can help shape the policy agenda of our country. Madam Speaker, because we as a society have it so ingrained to underestimate our young people, to devalue their contribution, that it will take a massive overhaul of our cultural mind set to be able to start on this new path. It may seem daunting, but I ask you, who better to speak to the ailments plaguing the young demographic than the same young people who are being affected and afflicted? We have a broad youth population, primary and secondary school age students, tertiary students, and as well as young professionals. We are ideally poised to offer varying perspectives and solutions to policy and projects aimed at enhancing Saint Lucia's role in the world. Maybe, Madam Speaker, we can start small. Maybe we can start with the guidance of others instead of the abysmal constant criticism and the ill-advised labeling of all young people. Lift us up instead of bashing us at every turn. Maybe, Madam Speaker, we can start by ceasing to stereotype our young people, especially according to gender and economic class. Maybe, Madam Speaker, we can start by giving our young people the solid foundation they need to excel instead of waiting until their talent is withered on hopes and dreams. Speaking of hopes and dreams, Madam Speaker, it will be a gross injustice if at this juncture we do not honor the legacy of our 2013 Youth Speaker of the House, whose further contribution to this country was brutally denied when his life was stolen from his friends, loved ones, and community. Reynolds Constantine was a vibrant youth advocate. He epitomized some of the best qualities that we value as youth parliamentarians. And there was no doubt that we would have been destined to shape this beautiful island we call home. His murder remains unsolved up to a day like today. Yet it would be a disgrace if we could not live up to the example he set. Madam Speaker, I 35 to help revolutionize the perception of youth in society. Let us be an active and relevant part of discussion by speaking out with a collective voice. Speak from a place of facts and do not be ruled by emotion. We have to demonstrate to our people that we are indeed fit to lead and to pave the way into the future. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Questions? Honorable Member for Babino and Minister for Finance, Infrastructure and Public Service.
Madam Speaker, I received notice of a question from the member for Dennery South. His question is, when does the government of Saint Lucia intend to address the potholing plaguing in Saint Lucia's road networks? My answer as Minister of Finance, Infrastructure and Public Service is that I can report that the potholing in our country is of high priority for the government, but as we would all be aware, we are coming to the end of the financial year, and such it is a bit difficult to source the funds for these repairs right now. But however, even if the funds were available, because of climate, because of the weather conditions, it is very unfit to perform these repairs at this moment. Provisions are being made in a new fiscal year to address improving the island's road networks in terms of helping both our pedestrians and our drivers as well.
Motions? Honorable Member for Grosley, Prime Minister and Minister for National Development.
Madam Speaker, honorable members, Madam Speaker, I beg to present a resolution of Parliament in recognition of the 30th Independence Anniversary of Saint Lucia. Whereas it is known that on February 22nd, 1979, Saint Lucia gained independence from Great Britain. And whereas the Constitution Order of Saint Lucia 1978 provides for the rights and freedoms of the government and people of Saint Lucia. And whereas Wednesday, February 22nd, 2017 marked the 38th independence anniversary of Saint Lucia from Great Britain, and that the government and people of Saint Lucia continue to celebrate this auspicious occasion until February 28th, 2017. Be it resolved that this Parliament encourages all Saint Lucians in this season of patriotism to exercise tolerance of their neighbors in a spirit of national unity, peace, and of the advancement of socio-economic prosperity. Be it further resolved, Madam Speaker, that a copy of the resolution be forwarded to the Governor General of St. Lucia for onward transmission to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Madam Speaker, it is imperative that as a country we unite, despite the trials that we endure as a people.
Honorable Member for Castries East and Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise in support for this resolution. I believe it is a timely one. There is a time for everything, and there will be a time when we divide at the hands of politics. But there is also a time for unity, a time where we as a country can put aside our political agendas for the greater good of our country. We are people who share a passion and pride in ourselves, and indeed these attributes can resonate through the many communities in our country. Let us all in this honorable house set the example as leaders to chart this resolution forward. I thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that this Parliament encourages all Saint Lucians in this season of patriotism to exercise tolerance of their neighbors in a spirit of national unity, peace, and the advancement of socio-economic prosperity. Be it further resolved that a copy of the resolution be forwarded to the Governor-General of St. Lucia for onward transmission to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As many are of the contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Bills. Honorable Member for Castries East and Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the first reading a bill shortly entitled Citizenship by Investment Repeal.
Citizenship by Investment Repeal.
Honorable Member for Castries East and Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move for the suspension of Standing Orders 48-2 in order to allow the Citizenship by Investment Repeal Bill to go through its remaining stages at this sitting.
Honorable members, the question is that this Standing Order 48-2 be suspended in order to allow the Citizenship by Investment Repeal Bill to go through its remaining stages at this sitting. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. Have it. Leave is granted. Please proceed, Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the second reading of a bill shortly entitled Citizenship by Investment Repeal Bill. Madam Speaker, before I begin, I'd like to give thanks to our constituents in the Castries East constituency who has afforded me that opportunity to speak today. I also want to thank the youth of this country. It is very rare that the youth gets the opportunity to display such talent and contributions in society. I have a powerful message for our youth today. I want to tell the youth that they have a voice. It is a voice that could resonate throughout St. Lucia, and we have a contribution that we can make in society. We sit idly by and allow our leaders to go through without us making that contribution. I believe it is imperative for us as young people to have a say in this country of ours. Going on to the bill to be repealed, Madam Speaker, I am chastened by the enormity of the circumstances and challenged by the task that confronts me in this honorable house. I am solaced to my belief that my fellow members in government opposite, Madam Speaker, will most certainly share our sentiments on repeal on this bill. It is understandable, Madam Speaker, the view that Saint Lucia requires an effective cash flow. This program affords us the opportunity for much needed revenue. It is also no secret, Madam Speaker, that we have a generous over-reliance on the economies of foreign markets. Madam Speaker, our country is in no doubt highly vulnerable to external shock and largely insensitive in the global political and economic phenomena. Madam Speaker, due to our over-reliance and dependence on the foreign direct investment inflows, our economy is being structurally challenged. there must be some intervention in effectively addressing the economy. But Madam Speaker, our decision should not demoralize our integrity, it should not demoralize our sovereignty and our ability to defend our country. Madam Speaker, the more impacting the CIP is on our country, the more difficult it is for us to defend against it, regardless of our vulnerability, regardless of how well we develop, we are, as a country, need to go through the stages of the arrest and getting the right things to do through due diligence. Madam Speaker, citizenship is genuinely a guarded entitlement. Our people, Madam Speaker, in the heart of independence, feel a strong bond. And the personal identity is defined in their birth, their culture, their values and traditions. There is an inclination to preserve the sanctity of citizenship, Madam Speaker. When persons hear that their sovereignty is underused as a free-for-all, we see that there is a great chance that our passports can be devalued. There is also the fear, Madam Speaker, that our passports can fall into the wrong hands. Just the thought of this underlying issue with CIP can send, Madam Speaker, waves through this, our country, Saint Lucia, and send our people to cringe. We are a proud country, proud of our symbols, proud of the things that we hold dear. Madam Speaker, when speaking about access to travel, there is a great responsibility that we can be subjected to higher levels of scrutiny or may be denied visa-free entry into our countries. There is also the possibility, Madam Speaker, that our Saint Lucian passports can fall under suspicion and scrutiny. Certainly, Madam Speaker, there is evidence to support all of these claims. Speaking a little about the CIP, Madam Speaker, this program in itself will not reveal a deeper and more sustainable form of economic and social development. No matter the amount of money we collect from this program, or the number of persons we attract for investment, or even, Madam Speaker, the amendments to the regulations, we need to see to it that the investment is one that will be sustainable to our country and our people, rather than making us dependent on foreign investment. The Citizenship by Investment program is expanding on our porous Caribbean borders. There is need for the protection of our resources and environment. Madam Speaker, what policies do we have in place to safeguard our country with the advent of foreign investment? What policies do we have to safeguard our beaches, our natural resources, our heritage sites? More and more of our natural resources are given away in the name of entrepreneurial development. Speak up in, Madam Speaker. Whilst I'm on entrepreneurial development, issue with the management and development of our projects in Saint Lucia. Whichever the government, Madam Speaker, foreign direct investment, government funding, or whether through CIP, what we as a country need is to have a mechanism in place that any development that comes from anywhere, that there is a reputable unit in place that manages due diligence. Madam Speaker, we just cannot afford to allow projects under our name in our country to go by without being completed and without being sustainable. Likewise, the prudent management of this program. There are very serious reasons why the CIP has to be repealed. Madam Speaker, it is managed at a very high standard and with the most thorough investigation of persons who apply for citizenship and passports. We tend to believe, Madam Speaker, that it's okay any amount of persons can actually come on our shores as long as they have the $100,000 US, they could come on board and that's it. Then, Madam Speaker, here lies our sovereignty. We cannot afford to take that chance, Madam Speaker. We cannot. We simply cannot afford to take that chance. As it stands now, Madam Speaker, we as a government need to diligently pursue a far-reaching and comprehensive analysis coming from a robust due diligence program. When issuing citizenship to applicants, government must be confident that the applicant is a bona fide one. What the government is doing, Madam Speaker, with this program is mere substituting long-term sustainability for short-term gratification. And we need to be careful about this, Madam Speaker. The CIP is wide open to abuse and corruption. We, Madam Speaker, believe that when you start with the idea that our most valued treasure, our country, can be bought, the perception is that everything else within it has a price. Peddling our passports to wealthy applicants will not improve our country's sustainable developmental goals. Case in point, Madam Speaker, under the World Bank report on Caribbean countries' economies, all the countries under CIP fell in their GDP growth from 2014 to 2015. There is CIP, but all contracted in growth. Dominica, for instance, Madam Speaker, being the cheapest passport destination, fell down to negative growth in 2015. Negative growth, and it being the cheapest. Now, Madam Speaker, we are challenging Dominica to be the cheapest destination for passport sales. Where are the signs of the program helping our economy, Madam Speaker? The only sign of development is the signal to the world that our patron money is up for sale. The priority of this government with this program is not on high-end construction, not on the job creation which impacts unemployment of more than 40% of our youth, our young people, not on the sustainable investment opportunities fueled by foreign direct investment, but to offer passports for sale. Passports for sale, Madam Speaker. Is this the way in which we want to manage our patrimony? Madam Speaker, putting into question the National Economic Fund, there is also a suggestion to change the thought of National Economic Fund and replace the proceeds to a foreign wealth fund. Ordinarily, Madam Speaker, the proposal would make sense, but as it stands now, as it stands in our country, it cannot work within our country, not in our country with fiscal deficits, not in our country with high debt, not in our country with high employment. The revenues from CIP would obviously, in the first instance, be used for the financial and social stability of this country. Saving at this point makes little sense if the provision is not made for preserving and enhancing the capacity of the country to survive. Madam Speaker, there is no point of saving for tomorrow and starving today. There is no point. Of course, Madam Speaker, we reflect on this decision to repeal over the examples of countries with issues in this program. Let's take a look at St. Kitts, Madam Speaker, an island where CIP is considered to be thriving. In 2013, it was suspended. It suspended Iranian nationals. Why? Because they were not trusted, and they were reason to actually make this country be blacklisted. Now, Madam Speaker, they also ran a very high debt bill. So high that it was in the vicinity of 200% of their GDP. Now, Madam Speaker, let's direct our attention to Grenada. The United States and Canada halted the program. questionable figures were holding passports. There were reasons to associate the government with corruption under this program. The country was also blacklisted, as it was considered to be uncooperative in fighting money laundering. You know why when the blacklist was removed? When they decided to stop that CIP in 2002. Madam Speaker, very close to us, Dominica, government has been accused of not operating the program in an open and transparent manner. Even when being claimed in having the cheapest passport, you would expect that they would bring great return on investment in this country. We were expecting that, for instance, Greenway and Dominica would have big buildings, great roads, good infrastructure. But rather what was evident, Madam Speaker, massive declines in the economy. Declining GDP growth, massive inflation. The youth still cried out on youth unemployment. Now who has the cheapest passport? Saint Lucia. Are we willing, Madam Speaker, to go down that road? This program is not transparent. Where is the accountability? Where are the reports of FDI inflows? Where are the applications and details of investment? Have these reports been made public? Why is it that the islands hold on to these reports? Why is it that they do not want to share those numbers? Is it deliberate, Madam Speaker? What are the real reasons to remove the thresholds through the amendments? The number of applicants per year, what are the reasons? The financial qualification of applicants. Madam Speaker, we just cannot afford to fall into this careless practice. It is imperative that we have an effective program. This is the reason I will stand in this honorable house and raise the issues of transparency and accountability. There is too much room for this program to be abused. Too much. Madam Speaker, the applicants have ulterior motives. They have sophisticated means to disguise who they represent themselves to be. They have access to international criminal networks. They could purchase new identities even before they apply for our new nationality. Can we take that risk, Madam Speaker? We must protect this sacred document of ours by refusing to put into the hands of just about anyone who can easily afford a few $1,000s, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a passport. Madam Speaker, lowering the passport price is poised to serve as an easy backdoor into our CARICOM countries. An easy backdoor. Would it mean CARICOM would share the money with all member states now that they are exposed to investment citizens? No, they won't. They are competitive. They will not allow such a move. This suggestion of regionalizing CIP may not have a simple solution and may definitely be a straw to break the back of CSME. Very interesting, Madam Speaker. In closing, as a young person, this program, with all its fundamental value of raising inflows in foreign direct investment, is not solid enough to avoid. Madam Speaker, our history and our legacy directly identifies you and I as Saint Lucians. We in this honorable house must ensure that the right safeguards are put in place. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member of the Opposition, Honorable Leader of the Opposition. Honorable Members, the question is that this Citizen by Investment Repeal Bill be read a second time. Honorable Member for Labrie.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I stand this morning to add my voice to this debate, I'd first like to wish you a happy independence, as well as to all my colleagues in these honorable chambers, specifically to our dear opposition members. And of course, Madam Speaker, it is imperative that I extend my best wishes to my fellow constituents of the now renowned People's Republic of Labrie, or what I consider in my own terms, the intellectual capital of Saint Lucia. Madam Speaker, I don't want to seem too boastful, but after all, we have produced some great men and women, from Governor General to Prime Ministers, just to name a few. Madam Speaker, it appears that our dear opposition have probably become fearful. Maybe they realize that they're going to be stuck in opposition for a very long time, because they are now seeking to repeal legislation which this rather competent government has supported fully, which we believe can benefit our nation. But clear up my opposition, we're actually willing to extend an olive branch to you guys. After all, we all had to make a positive contribution towards the development of our nation. Madam Speaker, permit me to quote the words of former U.S. President John F. Kennedy, who once said, and I quote, "There are risks and costs to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction." Madam Speaker, for far too long, our leaders, both locally and regionally, have bombarded us with the chorus that things are bad financially. And now the local, what we say now is, the country is broke. Indeed, we are broke, Madam Speaker. And we have tried several different initiatives to try to deal with that issue, but they are all failing. Madam Speaker, in a report published by the IMF on February 6, 2017, it was a concluding statement on Saint Lucia. I'm making this a document of the House, Madam Speaker. It is highlighted that our debt to GDP ratio is estimated at the end of 2016 as 82.9%, and this is projected to increase to 85.4% for 2017. Madam Speaker, you know what this means? For every dollar our government makes, 80 cents of that has to go towards paying a debt. And as the leader of opposition rightly mentioned, we indeed have a deficit problem. For years we've been running a deficit budget. In simpler terms, Madam Speaker, it's like having a business and your revenues for, let's say, the year, $750. However, your expenses are $1,000. Inevitably, in the long run, your business cannot survive. What are you going to do? You can maybe apply for a loan, but will a bank give you a loan when you already have a debt to GDP ratio of about 80%? So out of your revenues, the 750, 80% has to go towards paying a loan. Which same bank would give you a loan, Madam Speaker? A public limited company can easily say, maybe they will recapitalize, sell some shares. But what can a government do? What are we supposed to do to fill that deficit so that we can sufficiently run our economy, Madam Speaker? We have an unemployment problem, Madam Speaker. What are we going to do? That is why we need to think outside the box, and that is where CIP comes into play. It is a non-traditional method, Madam Speaker, but it can be key to our survival in this country. Madam Speaker, CIP, as I said, is a non-traditional means. So obviously, there will be concerns. And I agree with the opposition, there are concerns. But you know why CIP sometimes fail? Is when we have corrupt politicians who try to abuse the system for their own personal benefit. And this government has zero tolerance for corruption. I can assure you that, my dear leader of opposition. Madam Speaker, we also spoke about foreign direct investments falling. Of course, I agree. And it would be interesting to note that with Britain's decision to remove out of the European Union, this is key. Because this is one of our key tourism markets. And tourism being one of our main sources of foreign direct investment, we need to be careful of what are the repercussions for that decision. So where are we going to get the foreign direct investments? Because if this market tumbles, we all have to be fearful. As the saying goes, many people are not poor. We need to take steps in advance before whatever happens, and then we cannot recover, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, now you spoke of St. Kitts and Dominica, which is fine. But let me give more or less a bit of history lesson. St. Kitts, they had this year program, one of the first, from 1984. And in 2006, they launched what is called the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation. Through this foundation, the main purpose is to assist the St. Kitts government to diversify the economy from a sugar-based industry, because they realized the sugar industry was not thriving. So through this foundation, it provides persons with an option to become citizens by investing in that foundation. Now, what are the benefits of this foundation? Do you know that in 2009, they established what you call a Youth Empowerment Skills Program? And as you rightly said, we have it pains me when I see the unemployment issue we have in Saint Lucia. But in St. Kitts, they launched what is called a Youth Empowerment Skills Training Program, which assists young persons in becoming entrepreneurs. It is also said that in 2011, through the SIDF, Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation, they gave a grant of approximately $1.7 million to that YES program towards ensuring that our young people can not only depend on applying for the job, but they can create their own jobs, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, I'm going to shift focus a bit. You spoke of Dominica, and that touched me personally because with CIP, there's an issue which, to me personally, Madam Speaker, you mentioned Dominica, and you'll be aware that in 2015, Dominica experienced Tropical Storm Erica, which nearly devastated Dominica completely. In the Prime Minister's budget address for 2016-2017, he highlighted that damages were estimated at approximately $1.3 billion, or about 90% of the GDP. Dominica was nearly destructed completely. How did they survive, Madam Speaker? The Prime Minister of Dominica also highlighted that $35 million from the CIP program was sent towards Tropical Storm Erica relief projects. Yes, this may seem insignificant, but imagine the Dominicans who, after the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, and they were able to receive that almost immediate funding towards their relief. I'm sure they will be glad, Madam Speaker. Yes, it may seem insignificant, but it did make a valid contribution to ensure that Dominica, in a couple of days, were able to get the country back and running. If we were to hit in Saint Lucia with a tropical storm or a natural disaster, God forbid, and we are aware of the issue of climate change and the increase in the occurrence of natural disasters, how are we going to recover from this, Madam Speaker? What are we going to do? We already run a deficit budget. So are we going to get the funds for recovery efforts? We cannot solely depend on foreign aid to give us grants and donations when we consider ourselves to be an independent nation and we're depending solely on foreign aid. Come on, Madam Speaker. That is why through CIP, we can not only seek to build our resilience against climate change, but we can also attract investment in that sector. In addition to this, in the event that, God forbid, natural disaster hits our country, we can fund our own recovery efforts and not depend on foreign aid, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I earlier stated that CIP, yes, it is a non-traditional means, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you know, I was a long wish I could go on to highlight the benefits, but being that the Lenten season is slowly approaching, I shall be a bit merciful to the opposition side. Madam Speaker, yes, CIP is a non-traditional method, but so the opposition is expected. But we, as a government, as I said, we have a zero tolerance for corruption. So we are giving the CIP an opportunity to thrive in our nation. It can help us to steady the ship, Madam Speaker, because indeed we have a deficit problem. Madam Speaker, this government, the main priority is to ensure that we build an economy that is not only sustainable, but improve the standard of living of every solution, deal with our issues, youth unemployment, our health sector, which is in dire need of it, our agriculture sector. And Madam Speaker, we believe that CIP can be the vehicle to drive that change, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I close, I just want to wish all solutions, both here and abroad, a happy independence. And to our opposition, we accept the criticism. But I believe criticism without no solutions is nonsensical verbiage. What are your solutions to deal with our problems? Are you saying that we are going to increase our taxes to fill our deficit? Are we going to cut on our public service, which is only going to worsen our unemployment problem, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, once again, happy independence to you all. God bless Saint Lucia, God bless the government of Saint Lucia, and God bless our young people. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member for Denny Styles.
Madam Speaker, before I begin, I bid a good day to everybody sitting in there, everybody listening, everybody in Saint Lucia, and everybody abroad. Madam Speaker, it is with great honor that I stand as a young man from Lapel Demo to address this prestigious house. Madam Speaker, I am honored that even though I have only experienced a little over half of our nation's independence, I was bestowed the privilege of representing the interest of the small business owners in Saint Lucia, ensuring the safety and security of citizens, and defending the core values of what it truly means to be Saint Lucia. Our sovereign state, that is not, and I repeat, is not for sale, not by enterprise investment, not by real estate development, and definitely not by $100,000 or $200,000, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am a proud Saint Lucian. We are a proud nation, a proud people. Our Nobel laureates, Derek Walcott and Sir Arthur, Darren Sammy, and Laverne Spencer demonstrate greatness on the world stage. Our greatness as Saint Lucia. We as a nation have long fought for our sovereignty. But in the Citizenship by Investment program, I believe, and we all should believe and realize that this is gone. Before, to be considered Saint Lucian, your robbery, your navel string had to be buried in the soils of Saint Lucia. But now, Madam Speaker, with this program, an individual with his or her family who has never set foot on our island can enjoy these privileges, can enjoy the privileges of being called Saint Lucian. Madam Speaker, don't you believe that this is an injustice to our people? This is systematically violating our people, tainting and eroding our sovereignty. Madam Speaker, I stand here today, I stand for Saint Lucia and say no to the Citizenship by Investment program, and I pledge my utmost support to the leader of the opposition and members of the opposition to repeal this legislation that threatens what it truly means to be Saint Lucian. Madam Speaker, I sit here and I listen to the honorable member for Langley, and he says that we are in economic deficit, we need development. But Madam Speaker, is all of this worth selling our sovereignty? Madam Speaker, ministers, national heroes have worked hard, tirelessly, to develop an identity that what we call Saint Lucia, to put measures in place so that our borders may be strong, to reduce corruption in our country. And Madam Speaker, we are just opening our doors and inviting people to our state, Madam Speaker, for $100,000, for $200,000. Madam Speaker, despite being a small colonial nation, the passport index has ranked Saint Lucia as number 31 worldwide. 118 countries have offered citizens of Saint Lucia the privilege of visa-free access to their borders. And I believe that that is a blessing. A privilege granted to the people who have worked tirelessly before us to ensure that we, the youth, the future, those to come, those who have not even thought of coming, could enjoy that privilege. Madam Speaker, these are the foreign people like me the opportunities to go on vacations, seek medical treatment, and attend university campus tours with little or no hassle. Right? And Madam Speaker, places like Syria, Iraq, and Iran, who have the citizens applying for our Citizenship by Investment program, who only have access to less than 50 countries, Madam Speaker, we are giving all of these opportunities to them for $100,000, Madam Speaker. Is that what we are worth as Saint Lucians, Madam Speaker? $100,000? Madam Speaker, we have many national heroes. We have people who have worked tirelessly to make our name. We have Darren Sammy, St John, Laverne Spencer. All of these people travel, go overseas to represent St. Lucia. But would you like that Darren Sammy would come back here to St. Lucia? Laverne Spencer would come back and say, their passport was rejected in another state. They want to perform, they want to represent our state. Madam Speaker, I think this prostituting of our passport should be put to a stop. Madam Speaker, are we ready? Are we ready to be rejected at ports of other countries? I believe the answer is no. As citizens of these 238 square miles, all we have is our name and our credibility, and let us preserve. And let us not sell to Sheikh Abdul for his pocket change our sovereignty as solutions. Madam Speaker, throughout the years we have seen the Citizenship by Investment program. And I do admit that at the core, the intention is to bring in financial return for foreign investment. But Madam Speaker, when I walk through my constituency of Delhi South, and I see the high unemployment rate, I do understand that based on the economic situation of our Fair Helen, this may seem as a remedy. But tell me, Madam Speaker, is this worth compromising our internal security, our international relations, the future of our independent nation? Madam Speaker, we're inviting peoples of uncertain backgrounds and welcoming them into our gates. As robust as our security ports are, and as vigorous as our due diligence procedures are, Madam Speaker, I believe that this is a disaster waiting to happen. We already have cracks in our present systems, cracks that I believe CIP will widen, cracks that I believe CIP will deepen past our borders and into our society, Madam Speaker. I don't want to say this to indicate that we do not have illicit activities taking place in our countries. Then, Madam Speaker, the magnitude of the illicit activities is what I fear. The shadiness of the characters, Madam Speaker. We are speaking of multi-millionaires. People can disguise their personality. People can disguise their past, Madam Speaker. Do you think that we have the correct due diligence to properly investigate these people? Madam Speaker, I concur that the injection of foreign capital is important to the economic development of our beloved country. But I want us to think.
Honorable Member, you have 2 minutes.
Think deeply and think wisely. Do we inject more money into our economy from unverified sources, or shady individuals, or suspected terrorists? Money from terrorist camps, money from terrorist organizations? Madam Speaker, I believe that we soon enough will be the largest washing machine of them all. Money London will be circulating in Saint Lucia, clearing out resources, and international governments will look at Saint Lucia with a sigh of disappointment. Madam Speaker, as we bear in mind that sovereignty remains the most distinguishing marks of a state even today, Madam Speaker, I cannot sit and allow that the fair Helen of the Denry boy, the fair Helen of all those who sit here today, will be slandered. The name of our country will be slandered. And we need to tread carefully, defend our good international reputation, and support our own people so that they can look forward. We need to seek a new future, a future where solutions can seek opportunities by setting foot on new shores. And Madam Speaker, so our youth can proudly say that they are Saint Lucian. I thank you.
Honorable Member for Castries South and Minister for Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am gratified to be here in this honorable house this morning. Madam Speaker, let's take a walk through this journey with me. Ponder for a moment. Can you imagine waking up early Saturday morning to do your early chores as you normally do? To get a call that changes everything. It makes you experience every feeling except for happiness, anger, depression, name it. And on the other end of that line, it's a call from your mother stating that she is diagnosed with cancer. Madam Speaker, the questions such as what ifs, what do I do, where do I go, and who do I turn to? Where do I have to go? What's my next step? Do I have to travel? Do I need to migrate to another country to get the aid for my mother? Madam Speaker, being the Minister for Health and having to deal with the fact that my mother was diagnosed with cancer, the cost and limits for medical treatment, and the big question of what if an opportunity presented itself with a business person from overseas who can come to our country and open a facility with some cancer facility with some level of pharmaceutical treatment. Madam Speaker, this is why we are here today. My colleagues opposite are trying to convince you that the that the Citizenship by Investments Program Act 2015 and related legislation by Investments Program my colleagues opposite are trying to convince you to repeal the Citizenship by Investments Act 2015 and related legislation and for connected purpose. They're not saying to adjust the act, Madam Speaker, but to make an adjustment or changes to an act or legislation does not mean to repeal. What does it mean to repeal, Madam Speaker? According to the Oxford Dictionary, the action of revoking or annulling a law or act of Parliament. As I now define the word repeal, this is why we have this debate, not to necessarily repeal, but to make the changes that the act can work. The opposition is basically saying repeal or discard of the act and that it can't work. As my fellow Minister for Denry stated that the Citizenship by Investment Program is an injustice and that how our nation has to travel overseas for medical treatment. But Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be beneficial that if the funds generated from our Citizenship by Investment Program can enhance our health sector? We have decided to invest into a new hospital, Madam Speaker. I want us to explore the benefits of having the Citizenship by Investment Program more into the direction of the health of our citizens as a nation. As we all know, the Owen E.U. King Stanford Hospital is a referral hospital. Madam Speaker, what are the current issues affecting my ministry, the Ministry of Health? The cost of health services, limited options for medical treatments, namely cancer, HIV, dialysis, and high blood pressure. What about the fact that the polyclinic closes at 4 p.m.? Let's check on the topic for a few. Let's examine St. Kitts. Economy being high and has no funding from the World Bank for HIV and due to the Citizenship by Investment Program. Madam Speaker, with the Citizenship by Investment Program, we can create an investment board directed to the health sector. With these funds, also, we can generate it into getting our hospitals well equipped. As we all know, getting pharmaceutical drugs for our patients after treatment, any form of illness, can be really expensive. With ordering our drugs from the AACS, I do believe that it will be more affordable for our nation. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, the Citizenship by Investment Program does not need to be discarded, but be adjusted by both the governing and opposition to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Denry North, Minister for Heritage, Culture and Creative Industries.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my contribution on the proposed bill to repeal the Citizenship by Investment Act 2015. Allow me to quote these words of wisdom, and I quote, "The heights of great men, reached and kept, were not attained by certain flight, but while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night." End of quote. Madam Speaker, like every member of this honorable House, I am a patriotic citizen of this beloved country of ours. And in that regard, I always seek to place an interest of the people of Saint Lucia before any consideration. My contribution, Madam Speaker, is always in the best interest of my constituents of Dennery North and generally to the people of our beloved nation, Saint Lucia. As the minister responsible for heritage, culture, and creative industries, I support fully the initiative of the Citizenship by Investment Act 2015 to remain in its current capacity because of the financial benefits that this investment initiative can bring to the country. Madam Speaker, I am aware that there are many people in the lengths and breadths of this nation, especially the opposition, who hold strongly to the view that we should repeal the Citizenship by Investment Act 2015 and that we ought not to sell our patrimony. But Madam Speaker, I am certain that you and the honorable members of this House can attest that the world is changing very quickly. And we are in a competitive global environment. And we have to make sure that we always have a competitive edge if we are to be ahead of the game. I know I will be getting some flack from members opposite after my presentation this morning, but my shoulders are broad. And once I have conviction and I believe in something, I will not hesitate to make it clear. But I respect the doubts and as well as the misgivings, and I will explain my stance with good reasoning. Madam Speaker, Saint Lucia is just not offering citizenship. We are offering an identity. We are offering a people and Saint Lucia's place in the world. The new citizens must enhance our global perspective and ensure the country's heritage and culture and creative industries continues to endure. Madam Speaker, I say to you and this honorable House, we must continue the benefits of granting citizenship to people who want to be part of our territory, to people who want to make major investment that will significantly stimulate our economy. And truth be told, we need these people. If we want to be prepared for the future, to construct major projects, to create employment opportunities, and yes, we all know of the alarming unemployment rate amongst our youth. Right now, it stands at 24%. And in an effort to stabilize our economy, then Saint Lucia must continue on the path in providing opportunities for the right individuals to be citizens to provide the much needed foreign investment. Madam Speaker, second passports have always been in demand by those living in turbulent geographies. The program can offer a convenient alternative should circumstances deteriorate to the point where relocation becomes the best option. But we need to be extra cautious as to whom those passports, or rather citizenship, are issued to. This is where proper due diligence comes into place. We need to be confident beyond a reasonable doubt that applicants are bona fide and their identities have been fully validated and that they have no ties to transnational criminals or terrorist organizations before granting them opportunity to become a Saint Lucian citizen. Madam Speaker, we can fashion a well-regulated compliant program that targets the global elite of investors while ensuring that the funds energize significantly to the economy. Both St. Lucians and investors will profit in our politically stable, growth-oriented territory. These new citizens will have the option to live and work alongside our beautiful people in St. Lucia. This integration can bring about great culture exchange, growth, and integration. Our territory will benefit on an influx of funds.
Honorable Member, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To maintain our infrastructure and revitalize our economy. Madam Speaker, let us discuss enterprise projects, which is one of the 4 ways prospective applicants can invest in and gain citizenship through the program. Agro-processing plants which are in direct need. This can be benefits to the farmers of my constituency, Denry North. Another aspect that my community can benefit from is well-constructed bridges and roads that are highly needed in the Mabria Valley Basin since it is highly prone to flooding. The roads down there, Madam Speaker, are in deplorable condition, let me tell you. Deplorable. Madam Speaker, as I sat and listened to members on the opposite side vehemently oppose this bill, it leads me to wonder how patriotic some of us can be. These are the same individuals who stand with their hand to their side and sing the anthem, "Sons and daughters of Saint Lucia, love the land that gave us birth." And in the same breath, would ask to repeal a program that is going to bring direct foreign investment and help the economy of this nation. Madam Speaker, it's a win-win-win situation. The investors win, the territory win, and our people win. Madam Speaker, we need to bring our brain power together to get us out of this economic doldrum. Too many times, Madam Speaker, too many times we have tried the same methods. We cannot expect to throw the same situations at the same problems and expect to get a different outcome. As I come to the end of my contribution on this topic today, I urge everyone in this honorable house, the government coalition and the government side, or rather the opposition side, to think for the betterment of our beloved Saint Lucia. Let us make Saint Lucia grow again. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Denry North.
Who said that?
Honorable Member from Micoud South.
I would like to first greet the nation and say happy independence to every Saint Lucian. Madam Speaker, in this my maiden address in this house, I would like to comment on some fundamental concerns where our people and country are involved. Today we debate the repeal of the Citizenship by Investment program. I contend that in its original form, the program was a better one, as time and strict relevancy will not permit me to articulate the full concerns relating to the amendments made to the Citizenship by Investment program. I shall discuss the major content. Mais qu'à parler, pas seulement qu'en membre opposition, mais qu'en madame héritage Saint Lucia, moi tche de ça, point tche moi. Il est important pour faire l'argent by au pays. Mais c'est identité nous qui ça nous. Let nous perdre ça, nous pas ni valer. I translate. I am speaking not only as a member of the opposition, but as a young woman who holds our culture very dear to my heart. Making money for our country is important, but if we lose our identity, we would lose our value. Madam Speaker, permit me to reply to a comment that the Honorable Minister for the Environment of made. She said earlier that we should speak out of a place of fact and not emotion. I agree. So I'm asking you this question. What are the facts that the citizenship, the investors who want to come to our country will hold our heritage dear just as us? What are the facts that the investors are going to directly affect our heritage? I continue. Madam Speaker, since investment in Saint Lucia became much easier, it draws many significant concerns where our culture and heritage are in the equation. For example, there would be multiple investors who would try to impose their own cultural heritage in our country, not because it's beneficial to us, instead because it is more relevant to them. Such lunacy include horse racing, gambling, and prostitution, and the like. Are these the sectors of our youth are going to get jobs from? When these types of activities are imposed on our people's cultural belief, it tends to force persons to grow out of their own and attach themselves to foreign customs. Madam Speaker, the dispute over the cheap and dishonest sales of our passports draws significant foreign attention, a gateway for terrorists, and as a result threatens our people where outdoor activities will become hypothetical in that sense. This, however, directly contributes to the downfall in our cultural activities in regards to outdoor-based characteristics. We reappeal not because we are against the Citizenship by Investment program, but because it is evident that this government is not capable of handling such legislation with the amendments. Regarding the youth development sector, I am not disputing that CIP could create employment. I agree. I am instead saying it can also negatively impact our youth, the future generation in particular. In today's technological environment, it is evident and abundantly clear that our youth are involved in customs and practices that never belong to us, and as such, we promote globalization. Yes, but we ought to be mindful of the negatives. I continue by saying, as access to our country becomes easier and so affordable, there are greater possibilities that persons come in with baggage. For example, we have persons coming in marked investment, and their motives and values surround full engagement of undesirable etiquette. The former government ensured that they paid attention.
Honorable Member, you have 2 minutes.
They paid attention to the type of investors that they targeted because they were aware of the implications of the misuse of such programs. I would expect the same from our opposition. I speak not only as a former Minister of Culture and Heritage or as a shadowing Minister for Culture and Heritage, but as one who respects patriotism. In the cultural aspect, this administration failed, along with relevant bodies, to realize the many opportunities that are tagged along as the focus is only a money-making policy. I should say that this is to the fact that Saint Lucia is broke. The cultural sector demonstrates the capacity to stimulate high-value jobs and reward innovation to enhance the qualities of citizenship. We could consider the amendments after our cultural heritage sector has been remodeled. This sector is structured in the wrong format, and easy access by the Citizenship Investment Program directly contributes to its downfall. Madam Speaker, I mean it is not regarded as seriously as the other areas that account for a more comparable amount of economic activity. This is clear with the amendments made by the Citizenship by Investment Program. I would prefer leading a protest than to find myself part of an administration which has failed to show any sensitivity to the citizenship of Saint Lucia. After claiming our country is not for sale, it is still sold cheaper to any and everybody who is interested. Madam Speaker, what is our due diligence when we have agreed to reduce the period of vetting? Are we not in danger of having anyone with just a few...
Honorable Member, your time is up. Honorable Member for Castries North, Minister for Education and Human Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of my government side, I would like to introduce this. What is education? Education is key to a better future. But to understand that the opposition wants to repeal this bill brings worry to me, because we are in an age of economic crisis. But at the end of the day, we are building upon a program that can bring funding not only to one area of solution, but to all. You see, how can we claim to want to be activists and move towards a brighter future if we cannot understand that we need to develop the areas where knowledge is being given? Every day you walk into a school and you hear this, government has no money. But we are gaining funding from the CIP program. Have we yet to understand that we must start small in order to grow big, in order to gain knowledge? Madam Speaker, I just want to say this. Schools, mold, they're falling down on top of the students. CXC is becoming online by the year 2018. But the Wi-Fi and technology in the schools is limited. We have a better education system than most countries, but we are lacking the proper technology we need to move forward. Students nowadays do not want to carry textbooks and the things they need for school, because at the end of the day they will carry it and it will not be used. Parents are wasting money buying books, and at the end of the day it sits home. Parents are now selling the books because at the end of the day it is much cheaper to buy from those who are selling than from the stores itself. How at the end of the day do you expect a child to learn when the education system around them is falling apart and the money that should be given to the education system is not being given at all? How can you ask a child to sit in a classroom where a roof is falling? How can you ask a child to come to school every day and that the parents do not have money needed to give to them for lunch and for bus fare because the economy is dropping? Why? Because we do not have the proper funding to develop our island. At the end of the day, we are claiming to be independent, but let me educate the people on something. If we have to rely on Britain and the United States, then we still are not independent because we still depend on the motherland. The agricultural sector, the education being given on that is not enough. The mere aspect of the agricultural education is being littered. Students are seeing agriculture as something that is a waste of time, menial work, but it at the end of the day is the thing that gave Saint Lucia its name. It is the thing that brought primary growth to Saint Lucia, as our motherland was the first to take our bananas when we exported. Saint Lucia was a manufacturer, now it is not. Saint Lucia was a producer, now it is not. We are left in a standstill because we are not developing what we should. Education is key to the future, but there is no future without the understanding that education needs to be enhanced. We cannot be in an age where teachers are teaching the same curriculum that they taught 22 years ago to a generation that is so into technology that we know how to work our phones back to front with our eyes closed. There is something called the generation gap, and every year that teachers teach, the generation gap becomes more wider. Students and teachers are joined further. School and students are drifting apart to the point at which students do not want to come to school because the work is being tedious. The bags are getting heavier, but the books are becoming useless. At the end of the day, what are we understanding when we are trying to bring back our education system if we are being delayed with the rest of the world in the fact that technology is becoming the new era, but in this new era, our technology is not being used in this land? Madam Speaker, I just want to say this. Knowledge is key to understanding, but yet have we understood the point of education within our society? Education does not take place in school. Education starts at home. Are we willing to educate our people at home, or are we willing to let all the teachers do it at school? The CIP program will bring funding to rebuild our school, to rebuild our temples at which we educate our people, to rebuild our young leaders, and to rebuild our nation. For Saint Lucia is a very great nation. It's of great key value, but we do not have the proper funding. And we have tried numerous ways to gain funding for our island, but yet we have not succeeded in building our education sector. And I believe that the CIP program will bring about a new development in our education sector to the point at which our books become selling, no more tedious looking for books, no rely on the neighboring countries, but to develop ourselves. So, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I just want to say this. We need to grow not only in spirit, but in mind. We need to embody what we stand for, the land, the people, and the light. And we need to give knowledge to our people on the land, about the people, and who our Creator is, who is the light. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Castries North, Minister for Education and Human Resources. Honorable Member for Choiseul Saltibus, Minister for Social Transformation, Youth Development and Sports.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to begin with a great good morning to you, Madam Speaker. Good morning to my fellow parliamentarians. Good morning to Castries Comprehensive and Bocage. Good morning to my guest. And good morning to you, Saint Lucia, and the happy independence. Madam Speaker, before I begin, there are a few things I would like to say, Madam Speaker. I would like to begin with a quote. Madam Speaker, I speak not only for myself, but for those without a voice. For those who fought for their rights, the right to live in peace, the right to be treated like dignity, the right to equality of opportunity, the right to be educated. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to ask a few questions to my fellow oppositions, to my fellow parliamentarians, to each and everyone. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask, why are we here this morning, Madam Speaker? Why are we in chambers, Madam Speaker? Why are we having these debates? Madam Speaker, and I will tell you why. We are here because we all have one reason. We are here because we want to see a better Saint Lucia. Madam Speaker, we are here because we want to see Saint Lucia rise. We are here because we want a more developed nation, Madam Speaker. And this is why we are here, Madam Speaker. And this is why I am speaking. Madam Speaker, as government, as minister,
for Social Transformation, Youth and Sports, Madam Speaker, we need a better sporting event, Madam Speaker, and I believe to have a better tomorrow. To see these things happen, we need money, Madam Speaker. Money is what we need. And where do we get it? Where do we fund it? Where does it come from? What do we have to give us what we need? This is where CIP comes in, Madam Speaker. It brings in what we need, Madam Speaker. And I believe to see that happen, to see a better tomorrow, we can use CIP to better our youth. Our youth is what we have. Our youth is what will give us a better tomorrow, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, do you believe that it is right for what we call our stadium down in Beaufort by the name of the George Odlum Stadium? Do you believe that is right, that the youth call it a hospanium, Madam Speaker? Do you believe that someone who is interested in sports, someone who says, okay, I want this to happen, do you believe that the conditions of the stadium down in Beaufort should be as it is, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, down there is a hospital with a stadium at once, Madam Speaker. I believe that we need more facilities, and CIP can give us what we need. A facility down in the south, Beaufort, one in January, one in Soufrière, one up in the north, Madam Speaker, will do us very well. Madam Speaker, gyms, we need gyms. Madam Speaker, not only a gym where you go and what you see is a treadmill, what you see is a few weights. No, Madam Speaker, we need more than that. But for us to get that, we need money. It all boils down to money. If we need money, Madam Speaker, where would we get it from? My dear oppositions, where would we get it from? What do we have? I pose that question on to you. What do we have apart from ourselves, apart from our people, our sovereignty? Why not use what we have? We are not up for sale, as you say. We are merely using what we have, what was given to us, what is most precious to us. We are not what you call the cheapest on the market. Yes, our price may be cheap, but our country is not cheap. What we have is not cheap. Yes, we may be at the same price with Dominica, and St. Kitts may be at a higher price than us. But do they have what we have? Do they have the pitons? Do they have everything that we have? No, they don't. So we are not cheap to say. We are rather, as I may say, probably most likely, the most expensive. Because what we have, they don't. And we need the money, Madam Speaker. I do not believe that the youth is at what it is. And to have a better tomorrow, we need a better youth. We need to build our youth. And what better way to do that but through sports? What better way to get on top of the lines where we need to be but through sports? It is the easiest way out. Madam Speaker, there are a lot of young persons who are actually involved in sports, but Madam Speaker, without the facilities, without what we need, how do we get where we need to be? Madam Speaker, as an athlete, how easy do you think it is to be able to run a proper 400 meter on a 130 meter field? A field that is not stable, a field that has mixtures of concrete, stone, sand. It is not, Madam Speaker, and we need to better our youth, Madam Speaker. We need to better the sporting industry, Madam Speaker. We need more facilities, Madam Speaker. Why must an athlete train from only 3 to 4 or 5 to 7? Madam Speaker, why can't we train maybe 8 to 10? Why can't an athlete be at work and when he or she knocks off at 7 has a facility to go train at from 8 to 10 or 8 to 9? Why does it only have to be 3 to 4 or 5 to 7? Because we don't have the facilities. We don't have the persons to train. We don't have the coaches. We don't have what we need. But we can get what we need. And for us to get what we need boils down to the same thing. We need money. And money can come through what we have. What we have is ourselves. Madam Speaker, Rome was not built in one day. And this all of us can attest to. Yes, CIP has its faults. A lot of other things has its faults, but it can be fixed. It can be amended. We can get through it, Madam Speaker. And as I conclude, Madam Speaker, what I would like to say is, Honorable Member, you now have 2 minutes within which to complete your presentation. Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I was saying, as I am to conclude, Madam Speaker, I will say it again. We use what we have. If we are to be independent, we have to depend on ourselves. And through CIP, it will help us depend on ourselves. It will help us get where we need to be. And for a better tomorrow, so that we can see our great-grandchildren, we need to better the youth. I thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Vieux-Fort South. My apologies, Honorable Member for Vieux-Fort North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I rise to stand in support of the repeal for the CIP Act of 2015 and its legislation, first of all, when we speak of the word change, Madam Speaker, we are insinuating an act of making or becoming different. But emphasis prior to a change or amendment in the Citizenship by Investment Program resolution would be the value in the country's worth of citizenship on the worldwide market. According to the previous Citizenship by Investment Program regulation, a maximum of 500 applications per year at a $200,000 rate must be the qualifying contribution amount to the economic fund. However, compute the math to an issued amendment of a maximum of 1,000 applications per year at a US dollar rate of $100,000. It will aggregate to the same solution. Therefore, the country is being denigrated, yet I am Saint Lucia. How are we Saint Lucia, Madam Speaker, if we are changing who we are? We are all aware that tourism is the leading industry in the country, keeping our economy afloat, soon to be overtaken by the selling of passports in the country. Additionally, we have also come to the conclusion that agriculture is on the back burner of the country due to the many natural disasters that we have faced over the past few years. To name a few, Hurricane Thomas, which occurred on the 30th of October in the year 2010, the trough which took place on Christmas Eve in the year 2013, and Hurricane Matthew, which dissipated on October 10th in 2016 last year. These upheavals have not only put our country at risk, but have rather put our agriculture at a disadvantage. Over the past few years, Madam Speaker, our export rates were declining. Only to in the year 2015 to 2016, it is now surviving. Further, Madam Speaker, the Citizenship by Investment Program, we need to repeal this act because I believe that it is biased towards other industries such as agriculture, like I said, is on the back burner. Madam Speaker, Saint Lucia, a country of substance, has the potential for economic growth, particularly in the agricultural industry. However, we are neglecting our sustainable resources. It is one thing to have resources at hand, and it is another to put it to good use. When we think of chocolate, we think of the world's most popular brands of chocolate. For example, Hershey's, which has a cocoa farm situated in Saint Lucia, in our small country. Yet, the factories are foreign. What does this tell us? We have the resources at hand, but we are not putting it to good use. Look at so much finance we can make through the creation of factories, specifically chocolate factories. Yes, we have our own cocoa farms, such as Hotel Chocolat and Boca. But we do not have our own factories to produce our own income. And again, CIP, the Citizenship by Investment Program, what have they done to contribute to the development of agriculture in Saint Lucia? Madam Speaker, this country is known for so much great history, which has been benefiting us citizens in society. But how can we be a unique country if we want to lower our rate of citizenship to next to nothing? And how can we be competitive if we are equalizing our citizenship rates again with the other countries of the Caribbean? Citizenship investors aren't theoretically interested in our agriculture because we are not pushing forth our industry, an industry which Saint Lucia should be known for. Rather, they're interested in their native country because their industry in agriculture is already blooming. As a matter of fact, they are more into business and hospitality investments industries where they can fall back on to be profitable in the future. If we therefore, Madam Speaker, is left to us, Saint Lucia, to make up for the loss in the change of the CIP Act 2015. Permit me to impose a question on the representative, the Honorable Minister for Catcheries North, which stated, start small in order to gain knowledge. But how far back have we started? And are we moving forward? No. So to conclude, Madam Speaker, I stand firm in the support to repeal the CIP Act of 2015 and its legislations. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member from Vieux-Fort North. Honorable Member for Soufra, Minister for Agriculture.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, fellow parliamentarians, and to those in attendance. I am humbled to be here today to speak on such an important topic. But first, I must say, and I must speak of our current economic situation. Let's look, for example, the St. Jude's Hospital. Do we have the requisite funds to bring this project to fruition? The Owen King EU Hospital. Does the government have the funds to operate this hospital? What about our nurses? Are they trained to operate and provide the requisite service to our nation? Do we believe, Madam Speaker, that we provide a health care of high standard to our nation? Unemployment, a sore point in our nation. Does the government have the resources to create employment for everyone in this country? Does the government have the funds to employ 1,000 persons at approximately $2,000 a month? Madam Speaker, I am just asking simple questions. Simple questions, Madam Speaker. Where is the money? Who has the money? And who is ready to spend the money? Well, Madam Speaker, I know for a fact my government doesn't have the money. But we need to create the money, Madam Speaker. So we have to understand where we are today. Where are we as a nation? Madam Speaker, you will now begin to understand why this is so dear to my heart. I support my government's decision to uphold the legislation with regards to the Citizenship by Investment Act number 14 of 2015. So we ask the question, Madam Speaker, why CIP? Why the Citizens by Investment Program? If you go onto the internet or Google, the Citizenship by Investment Program, in the layman's term, simply means enabling individuals to acquire an additional citizenship where they could make a substantial contribution to the economic development of our country. I say our country because CIP right now is in Saint Lucia. This program, Madam Speaker, will protect the integrity and sovereignty of this beautiful island. We understand the concern because change in any form is difficult. So I understand when the change was made from $350,000 to $100,000. But Madam Speaker, is it fair to say that we are competing with other countries for investment? What differentiates Saint Lucia from the other countries offering CIP, Madam Speaker? We are competing with countries like Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, Nevis,
Dominica, you have Belgium, Spain. My government aim is to ensure that there's an injection of funds, that we stimulate this economy, and we stabilize this economy. Very important. Whatever decision that we make in this honorable house today must reflect these three fundamental things if we are to keep Saint Lucia on a safe path to prosperity. So, Madam Speaker, in your opinion, is it fair to set limits to the number of investors who apply for the CIP program? Is it fair? I ask, are we not trying to attract investors to Saint Lucia? Are we? So why set a limit? Why set a limit? Remember once again that our aim is to pull this country and its economy through the slum that we are in. This is at the forefront of my government's agenda. This, Madam Speaker, is one of the fundamental reasons for making the amendments to the Citizenship by Investment Act number 14 of 2015. So I encourage this nation to put aside all political differences and see the benefits that CIP can bring to this island in general. Madam Speaker, we, the government of Saint Lucia, we love this land. Just like you, the opposition, and any Saint Lucian. Just as we sing in our national anthem. Just as we sing in our national anthem. Sons,
Honorable Member, you now have 2 minutes within which to complete your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Sons and daughters of Saint Lucia, love, oh love, our island home. Let us continue to love Saint Lucia. Let us acknowledge that our nation is facing tough financial times. The challenges are real. And we need to create ways to stabilize this economy. So this government will continue and enhance programs to benefit Saint Lucia and build Saint Lucia. Madam Speaker, Albert Einstein said in one, if you may categorize it as that, one of the greatest quotes in our history, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but yet still expecting a different result. The traditional way has not worked in Saint Lucia. It has not worked. So why do the same thing over and over again? Let us do something new with regards to our nation, Saint Lucia. Let us do something new that will bring about a different result. I would like to wish the government and people of Saint Lucia a happy 40th anniversary of independence. And let me end and conclude by saying, may God bless
May God bless this beautiful nation, Saint Lucia. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Soufrière. Honorable Member for Castries East, Minister for Sustainable Development, Energy and Public Utilities.
Madam Speaker, I congratulate all Saint Lucians on the 38th Independence Anniversary. And just remind that on Wednesday, March 1st, we are celebrating 50 years of our national flag. And it's a day that we all should wear our national colors. Madam Speaker, when we stand in this honorable house, we must ensure that whatever we say is factual. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell was forced to abandon CIP in 2002. However, if the leader of the opposition was being truthful to this house, or if he did his homework, he would tell us today that from November 2016, Henry and Partners, an international citizenship and residence advisory firm, was appointed by the government of Grenada to restructure its CIP. Furthermore, the Grenada CIP is currently ranked as the second best program in the Caribbean, according to the Global Residence and Citizenship Program 2016 Index. So, Madam Speaker, if we could first know where we are, we could then better judge what to do and how to do it. We are on our own in the center of an extremely unrestrained ring of conflict. Economic and social challenges we are all aware of. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I rise in support of my government colleagues because the Citizenship by Investment Program was made to attract national economic contribution, real estate investment, enterprise project investment, and government bond investment that will benefit the people and the government of Saint Lucia. However, any policy, any agreement, any act must be well thought out and ensure that the people and the government benefit immensely. We must ensure that consultations on major projects are done before signing and not signing then consulting. Madam Speaker, I will not ask to repeal the CIP, but I will confidently state my issues and concerns. I will caution my colleagues. I will imitate, Madam Speaker, a radio program by Sanjuk Waflod, Big Go Wide. The first principle of foreign policy is good governance at home. And the key to a successful government is transparency, authenticity, and accountability. These are the qualities that our sweet nation must always be governed by. Madam Speaker, at no point in time should any government minister, any permanent secretary, or any government official agree and sign a document to keep secret and confidential any information relating to a project. As a matter of fact, when ministers and government officials attend seminars on behalf of Saint Lucia, they ought to give the media a report. We are all being paid by the taxpayers of this country, and at every point in time, they should be fully aware of what's happening within government. That, Madam Speaker, is a government by the people, government working for the people. I believe owning a Saint Lucian passport is a great privilege, and it must not at any time be prostituted. The current CIP regulation or act should be changed, Madam Speaker, in the sense that processing time for any application should be 6 to 8 months. Because in a small country like Saint Lucia, we do not have all the resources that we need to do due diligence within any short period of time, whether it is 5 weeks or 2 months. We need to do a comprehensive background check before awarding any investor with a Saint Lucian passport. I will remind you of what Ralph said, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The citizenship for St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not for sale. The highest office of the land is that of citizenship, higher than Prime Minister, higher than Governor General. It is not a commodity for sale. The passport is the outward sign of the inward grace of citizenship, and that is not for sale. Therefore, Madam Speaker, if we are going to say the highest office of the land is that of citizen, the government must ensure, they must be confident beyond a reasonable doubt that a candidate is a genuine one to qualify for citizenship. Furthermore, the Saint Lucia National Economic Fund is a special fund established under Section 33 of the CIP Act for the sole purpose of receiving qualifying investments of cash for funding government projects. All proceeds from passport sales must go into the SLNEF, because we need to be careful. We need to know what we are doing. Remember, the CIP offers citizenship for life. The worst case scenario, Madam Speaker, an investor comes, he invests in 4 cows in Saint Lucia. He is given citizenship. The money received from that passport sale goes to a master developer. What if in 6 months this individual decides to travel maybe to St. Kitts with his cows, or maybe he decides to sell it? Are we aware for the rest of this individual's life he is a citizen of Saint Lucia without any investment? We need to be careful, Madam Speaker. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair to the people of Saint Lucia. We need to ensure, Madam Speaker, every action that we agree to, every project that is signed must benefit the government and the people of Saint Lucia. Madam Speaker, Parliament colleagues, are you aware that a new hotel recently opened, or in the process of opening, I will not mention names, with 400 rooms, and to my surprise, not a single mattress was purchased in Saint Lucia? These are the things that I'm asking. We need to be cautious. We need to take all these things into consideration. Reading and understanding every word, every letter in every word before signing an agreement. Our survival depends upon our capacity to discern where the dangers are for us. Whatever happens, Madam Speaker, we must ensure that we have enough will and capacity to see that no policies, no decisions, no acts, no programs, no agreements are attempted that will destroy our right, our peace, our unity, our sweet nation of the West. Let us be reminded, 7 times British, 7 times French, they battled for fair Helen. We have fought for our land. We have fought for sovereignty. As small as we appear to be, as small as we will be, we won our independence February 22nd, 1979. So like I said, Madam Speaker, I support the Citizenship by Investment Act. So no, honorable members, I'm not a Judas. I'm just saying that we need to be cautious. We need to think before we get ourselves into any agreement. In everything we do, let these words resonate in our hearts, in our minds, in our ears. I will defend my country with pride and dignity. I will defend Saint Lucia in every way possible with vigor and valor in the pursuit of excellence, justice, and equality for all of us. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Castries South East. Honorable Member from Meekwood North, Minister for External Affairs, Trade and Investment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the opposition leader asked one question in his presentation, and he stated, what do we have to protect our beaches? I shall answer that question. There is something called the Queen's Chain Law. This law protects the government from giving any investor our beaches. So asking this question is kind of redundant. You should know that, I guess. But yes, Madam Speaker, permit me to enter the meat of my presentation. Persons are quick to emphasize the negative and forgo the positive, just as the opposition is doing. Madam Speaker, growing up as a child, this island I call my home, I dreamt that one day it would be developed into the premier destination in the Caribbean. Madam Speaker, this can only happen in three ways: investment, trade, rich and powerful countries. Madam Speaker, the opposition might state that Citizenship by Investment Act 2015 is not necessary, but I vehemently disagree. May I educate or remind them that most of our well-established businesses in this country are owned by naturalized investors. Own these investments? So is the opposition actually saying that they don't need investments? Do you all remember that investments create development, economic growth? So are you saying we don't need development and growth? Investment in a country, Madam Speaker, is a way of creating jobs. For example, the most controversial project going on here in Saint Lucia is the Star Holding project. This project has many possibilities. For one, it creates a niche in our tourism industry, because majority of the Caribbean islands don't really have something to set them apart. Only offer beaches, hotels. But with the DSH project, this is where we have the race horse track. This could attract tourists from different countries and set us apart from the Caribbean. It also creates employment before and after the completion of this project. It also creates careers where Saint Lucia never decided to invest in, such as horse breeding, horse grooming, veterinarians. Well, there is not that much, but we have it. It creates it. It also creates a possibility for developing the South. Because I am someone from the South, and I can tell you, the South is dead. We need something to lift us up. Also, it creates employment for the youth, mainly for the youth, because our youth, they go overseas to study, come back here, and end up staying home. Doing what? Nothing. Expecting the government to give them something, and there's nothing for them. Also, Madam Speaker, trade is another aspect which results in a country's growth. The Citizenship by Investment Act increases trade for the country by applicants trading their skills and expertise in their discipline to establish and lay the foundation for the economy to grow. Citizenship by Investment Act creates avenues for the government to enhance existing trade sectors, which in turn allows the government to do more trading to increase revenue. With more revenue at the government's disposal, they are able to fund more trading sectors and sectors which were neglected by the previous government. Not pointing fingers, but the previous government. So yes, going on. The Citizenship by Act attracts foreigners of good character and investors to come to invest in the country's economy and build legal relations. Only individuals of good character will be acceptable to invest in the company and be granted citizenship. Everyone is allowed to apply. We have no say. Anyone could apply. But not everyone will receive citizenship. I can assure you that only individuals of good character will be given citizenship. This will happen through due diligence, as the opposition, they find it iffy. But it will happen on three different levels: an international level, a global level, and also a regional level. In addition to this, background checks will be done on each and every applicant, whether or not they are accepted. So this will prevent any individual of bad mind from entering our country. Madam Speaker, before I conclude, I would greatly appreciate if the opposition retracts their statement and open their eyes to the many possibilities that CIP has to offer to this country. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Member from Meaford North. Honorable Member for Castries Central, Minister for National Security, Ports and Civil Aviation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, honorable members, I bid you all a pleasant good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today as the Minister of National Security, Ports and Civil Aviation to speak on issues regarding the Citizens by Investment Program. While I do understand some of the concerns declared by the opposition, I would like to counter the motion that the Citizenship by Investment Act number 40 of 2015 and its attendant regulations be immediately suspended and placed before a joint select committee of Parliament for review and appropriate amendments. I beg you to lend me your ear, and I will explain how my ministry has given careful consideration to Saint Lucia's security, and for this reason, there is absolutely no ground to suspend the aforementioned act. You see, Madam Speaker, my colleagues in the opposition are making the error of taking a very blanket look at the CIP program. Of course, it is true that generally throughout the world, CIP shares a common interest of encouraging external investment, but that does not mean that every policy of every country is identical. It is nonsensical to condemn each and every CIP program. I am suggesting to you, Madam Speaker, that our government has designed a policy that places all potential CIP investors through a rigorous and meticulous process that reflects our vigilance as regards to our national security. Whilst the threats in Saint Lucia are regrettably real, my ministry has worked to secure, preserve, and protect our citizens. The process to gain citizenship is very meticulous and allows us to sift through our applicants' background. Suitable applicants must be over the age of 18 years old, provide a police record of his or her country's residence, and must make available a health certificate from a medical practitioner. They must also present a banker's reference and must provide details and evidence of the proposed qualifying investment. Additionally, there are limited grounds to which an applicant can include dependents. In accordance with Section 3, subsection 8 to 6 to 8 of the Act, the application form must be completed personally and signed by the applicant and any of the qualifying amendment dependents over the age of 18, except where a qualifying dependent is physically or mentally challenged, and additional conditions shall be applicable. For a child who is below the age of 18, both of his or her parents may be required to sign forms on behalf of the child, and where one parent has sole custody of a child or another person has legal guardianship of that child, the appropriate legal documentation shall be provided to evidence the custody or guardianship. An applicant applying on behalf of a qualifying dependent who is less than 26 years of age shall submit official transcripts from a recognized school, university, or college, or of the qualifying dependent's enrollment and attendance at that school. This, Madam Speaker, is evidence that our government guards against the possibility of what would be criminal elements using the CIP program to infiltrate our society. Honorable members, the suggestion that the Saint Lucian government would engage in the act of carelessly giving away passports is far removed from the truth. We are not giving away passports. It is true that under Section 40, that is the newly amendments, we have opened our program by the removal of the 500 applicants cap to now allow an unlimited number of applicants per year. Additionally, we have removed the US $3 million net worth prerequisite for applications to the Citizenship by Investment program. The concession grants Saint Lucia a more competitive advantage over a rapidly growing market. However, let me assure you that we are not giving away the rights and liberties of my beloved people. I assure you that applying for the CIP program does not mean automatic approval. The rigid system an applicant must undergo has not changed. Under Section 30 of the CIP Act, an applicant must satisfy many requirements with the inclusion of the police certificate from the applicant's country of residence. Additionally, applicants must undergo a detailed background check executed by our trusted due diligence firms. This involves a visit to scrutinize the physical presence, residence of the applicant, right down, Madam Speaker, to the choice of cereal for breakfast. After an applicant has satisfied due diligence, and the application has been granted approval, they will then be encouraged to, or they now have the option of taking the oath before an attorney at law, a consular office of Saint Lucia, an honorary consul of Saint Lucia, a notary royal, or a notary public. Honorable members, this is merely an extension of power by entrusted persons who will assist our judicial system in ensuring that persons make a clear transition to citizenship. Our annual report ensures that we are fully aware of the persons who make that transition. The report is due no later than 3 months at the end of every financial year. It must give a very detailed overview of the number of applications made, granted, refused under the Act. The names, addresses, nationalities of the successful applicants and any qualifying dependents is made public. The report also includes detailed information about the nature of their investment. This brings me to my next point. Who are those persons that we entrust with the responsibility to grant others Saint Lucian citizenship? In plain speech, who sits on the board? How do we know that their decisions would work in the best interest of our country to maintain the highest level of security for our borders and our homes? What sanctions have we put in place to discipline a member who breaches our agreements? Again, let me ensure you that all issues surrounding Saint Lucia's security has been carefully considered. In accordance with Section 4 of the aforementioned
Honorable member, you now have 2 minutes within which to complete your presentation.
Thank you. Audit Board, trusted due diligence firms, and authorized agents all play an integral role in providing us with all the necessary intelligence we need to make informed decisions to protect our people and ensure good foreign relations. Additionally, we have put measures in place that to ensure that all our visa-free travel agreements that currently stands is not jeopardized at the expense of our people. Honorable members, I cannot with any measure of earnest stand in this honorable house and say that a bad apple will never walk through any of our ports. Not even the most sophisticated military regimes in the world can guarantee security of their borders. 100% security of their borders. However, what I can confidently say is that we have implemented screening procedures to weed out our applicants with that obtain illegal wealth or criminal background, so as to ensure that our families, our children, our people may enjoy a higher standard of living while enjoying peace and safety in this beautiful country that we have a privilege to call home. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Castries Central. Honorable Member for Beaufort South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Protocol having been established, Madam Speaker, I would like to commence by responding to various points that were made across the floor. And of course it all started, Madam Speaker, with the member for Labrie who asked this honorable house, what is it that we can do given that Saint Lucia is already facing a negative deficit? Might I remind the member that he is the one on the right side of the house. Why come and ask us what is it that we can do? The Minister for Soufriere asked, is it fair? Is it fair? But I want to ask the member for Soufriere, is it fair to advertise a free-for-all under the CIP module? Is it really fair? The Minister for Sourzel, Madam Speaker, again asked, what do we have? I want to respond. We have a people who are resilient and competent. We have a youth who are informed, who are conscious, and who are capable of critical thinking. Critical thinking, Madam Speaker, which seems to be an option that the government side lack. We have a desire to create more love, more understanding in relationships. We have a desire to see a drug-free and an HIV-free Saint Lucia. What do we have? We have the people of Saint Lucia, the citizens of Saint Lucia as it is, Madam Speaker. The Minister for Trade. The Minister for Trade, he made mention of the project which is happening in Beaufort, and I really wish the Minister did not have. The Minister said that the project creates an opportunity for employment. And yes, it does create an opportunity for employment, but employment to who, Madam Speaker? Employment to who? I am from Beaufort South, and this is a very dear project to my heart. And I happen to have a look at the contract, and there is nowhere in the contract that states that X amount of Saint Lucians need to be employed. There is nowhere there is nothing that prevents the investor of the project or the master developer to bring in his own employees. So employment to who, might I ask the Minister? Of course, reference is made that the country is broke. Then why the downward adjustment in the VAT? If the VAT was bringing in $150 million and it is now bringing in 125, a deficit of $25 million, why the downward adjustment? If the country is broke
Then why sell Saint Lucia? Why should we sell Saint Lucia passports as the cheaper option? After all, the country is broke. Madam Speaker, citizenship of a country bestows on the persons certain rights and duties as determined by the country of which that person is a citizen. And that includes the right to vote, the right to own property, the right to reside, the right to carry the passport of that country. Citizenship, conversely, being a citizen of any country also comes with certain obligations. For instance, to adhere to its laws, to pay taxes, as well as to be protected, as well as, Mr. Speaker, to serve in the military in some countries. Of course, citizenship of a country may be obtained through various means, by birth, naturalization, marriage, citizenship by investment, to name a few. And it is of particular interest at this point, Madam Speaker, that I want to focus the rest of my discourse, which is particularly the citizenship by investment module. You see, like squids when they are threatened, Madam Speaker, the government side or the right side of the House has attempted to draw a cloak of black ink where our eyes, or to veil our eyes from the realities of the citizenship by investment module. But when the ink clears, as it must, Madam Speaker, there is still a threat. There is the threat in its full strength, and yes, still very much a threat. And so it is with citizenship by investment as in its current form. This act, in its current form and supporting legislation, it matters not how well we package the bill. It matters not how eloquent we sell it to whoever wants to buy. But when the ink would have cleared, Madam Speaker, when the ink would have cleared, when the excitement dies down, when the music stops, when the crowd disperses, there it is in its full capacity. And yes, still very much a threat to our national economy, still very much a threat to our national security, still an obscure factor as it relates to our sustainable development as cited by the UN 2030 agenda, still a stumbling block in the way of transparency, accountability, and authenticity, which, by the way, is a very key element, or very key elements in good governance practices. And it still exacerbates the issue of corruption, weak AML policies, tax evasions that are already prevalent in our region, Madam Speaker. You see, the concept of issuing personal wealth, or the concept of using personal wealth rather, to secure foreign residency by citizenship is relatively new. But it is a trend that is being embraced by more and more countries as they seek to lure investors and the wealth. Madam Speaker, I happen to, well, not a professional, but I happen to fish in my spare time. And I do know this, that if you want to fish for tuna, yes, you may attract a few, but if you go deep sea fishing for tuna, it is likely that in attracting the tuna, you will also attract the natural enemies of tuna, like blue marlin. And if you are not prepared to deal with the blue marlin, Madam Speaker, I leave the rest to your imagination. And so it is, we may strategize to lure investors and the wealth, but in so doing, we also attract anything that is naturally attached to the wealth, be it positive or be it negative. I want to single out a few examples, Madam Speaker. There is the saying that if you want to do something, look at those who are already doing it. Let's look at those who are already doing it. Some of you might have heard of the name Paul Bilzerian. He's a former Wall Street trader who served not one, but 2 prison terms for fraud. And yet, he was claiming to be licensed to process citizenship by investment under the St. Kitts program. There is more. Bilzerian helped an entrepreneur by the name of Roger Ver. Most of you might know him as Bitcoin Jesus. He helped him to gain citizenship under the program. And the two would then further go to open up a website called Passport for Bitcoins, allowing persons to use virtual currency in an effort to skirt laws limiting money transfers. And you may read the entire document on Bloomberg News.
Of course, as we would expect it, the Kitchen government eventually came out and they denied any connection to the website or to the main characters. You see, I don't have a personal issue with the facts surrounding it, but there is a saying that let Bob Kamado Puidife. It does show, Madam Speaker, how the CIP module is a healthy avenue for promoting corruption. It does show this. Is it right to turn citizenship into something that can be bought and sold? Is it right to turn it into a commodity? I want to address the Minister for Trade. I remember so many years ago when, well, I wasn't there yet, but I understood there was a time when coconuts were our main exports. I understood there was a time when sugar perhaps were our main exports. I remember the days of green gold, bananas. Are you saying to me now, the Minister for Trade, that soon all this will be surpassed by passports for sale? Passports for sale, our main commodity. Passports for sale. Now, whereas I do understand that the sale of diplomatic passports has nothing to do with the CIP module, or should I say it should have nothing to do with the CIP module, it does provide an opportunity for it to happen under the bridge. We have the case of, we will never know, whether late Saudi billionaire Walid Jufali acquired his Saint Lucian passport under the CIP program. We will never know. According to Johan van Roo in 2014, in his report, Residency and Citizenship Through Investment, the 2017 report for immigrants, expatriates, and investors, he makes a few key points. Now, I want to move away from our region, St. Kitts. Before I do, the Minister for Castries Southeast, he quoted a saying by the Vincentian Prime Minister, Dr. Rav Gonzalez, that citizenship is the highest office in the land, that it is higher than the Prime Minister, and so forth. Yes, it is the highest office in the land. But might I remind this Honorable House that when the Prime Minister for Antigua and Barbuda, which has a very prominent citizenship by investment module, when he was elected, within a few weeks after he was elected.
Honorable Member, you now have 2 minutes within which you complete your statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One of the first things that the Minister did was he reduced the days that a citizen was allowed to, or an applicant rather, was allowed to be on island from 5 days over a period of 35 years to 5 days over 5 years, which means basically, Madam Speaker, anybody can apply for the program, visit the country 1 day per year for 5 years, and then basically you have exclusive rights. That is what it is saying. Now, passports issued knowingly or unwittingly to criminals, money launderers, terrorists, and sanction busters by overly eager host countries have the potential to discredit the integrity of such a system, as the leader of the opposition cited earlier. It was on May 14th that in May of 2014 that the US Treasury issued a warning to St. Kitts citizens. Canada issued to revoke the visa-free travel for Kittitians. Of course, they responded subsequently by recalling in excess of 16,000 passports. 16,000. Going back to Canada, I found it rather interesting that in the 2017 report for immigrants, expatriates, and investors by Joanne Rorin, Quebec received about 5,000 investor-class immigrants during 2014-2015. In 2016, 4,600 of those now have addresses in Vancouver. That is 92% of the investors, which originally made a one-off investment in Quebec. Now they are living in Vancouver, which benefits from them paying taxes, buying homes, buying vehicles, starting businesses, creating employment. What is to say that if Saint Lucia endorses the program, that those who come here will not do the same thing? Go to Antigua where it's more attractive. Go to St. Vincent where it's more attractive.
Honorable Member, your time is up.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
In closing, I just want to wish Saint Lucians a happy independence, and I want to encourage them to be mindful and critically think as they proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Member of Beaufort South. Honourable Member for Groseling, Prime Minister and Minister for National Development.
Madam Speaker, it is a great honor to be in this house today as I attempt to do something that the opposition does not want me to do. I am very appalled at the claims of the opposition, Madam Speaker, for there exists a great dichotomy between what they have presented and what actually obtains. As they speak, I could hear the elevated heart rates through the monitors, the mics, and I implore you to speak to our Minister of Health after this to ensure that you are okay. Really and truly, what are we teaching our young persons? Does our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ not still save today? People can change. So saying that someone used to be a criminal or have been convicted does not mean that they are unworthy of positive, things in their life. Do you know that the great Malcolm X was arrested for armed robbery? This did not prevent him from achieving all what he has achieved for you and I today. The scale at which the execution of this program operates seems to bewilder the opposition, and it far surpasses the comprehensive capacity of the team. So I seek to provide them with a little bit of schooling. We shall call it Economics 101. Our member asked the question, what can be done? And he posed the question back to us, what can be done? But we are saying CIP is what can be done. And since you oppose, what do you propose? Do you have friends who can sponsor us? Tell me who they are, that I may urge my secretary to write sponsorship letters to them at this moment as we speak. Okay? Let me explain to each and every one of us what's happening with the opposition. It's a bit of psychology. The human mind is wired to survive. And any external stimuli that seems strange brings up the fight or flight reaction. So this is what's happening. This is natural, and we all understand where you guys come from. Okay? Carl Benz created the first automobile in 1885, and many groups of persons came up to oppose this. But where are we today? Do we still ride horses on the Millennium Highway? Some of us still do. But over 100 years later, what have we done to the automobile? We have added airbags, we have added seat belts, we have added other safety features that over time our growth of our intelligence has allowed us to develop to better the product. And CIP is no different. With every single program, there are pros and cons. And as we develop and grow, we understand those cons better, and we are better able to address them over time. And I dive a little more directly. Let us simplify this entire debate for the opposition to understand a little more lucidly. If the leader of the opposition is selling mangoes at a deer market, and he is the only person selling mangoes, we can understand that he sells at $10 per mango. Yeah? But as Ryan comes and he sells mangoes as well, it would be unwise of the opposition leader to still sell at that rate, because Ryan will be becoming very competitive. Yes or no? And as more and more persons join this product, the sale of this product, you have to understand that as an economist, you need to be wise in how you price your product. So moving forward, those who are upset and wonder why we are changing our prices, I applaud you to go to the market, speak to the vendors a bit, and maybe you can understand further what really is happening. Are you aware that someone can actually become a citizen of Saint Lucia for less than $1,000 US? Someone in whichever part of the world, Australia, can go on Facebook, look for someone of interest in Saint Lucia, marry them, take a ticket, come across, and become a citizen. Why not find a creative way to maximize on profits or monies which can be collected through CIP? Let us look at our infrastructure for a moment. Last year, 2016, we reported an influx of 3,310 motor vehicles into our country. And we have a total of in excess of 65,000 motor vehicles registered on our roads. And our road networks and systems have not been updated, and they're not designed to meet the capacity. Where do we find monies, my dear opposition, to correct this issue? And I ask again, if you have friends with money, let me know. Let me urge my secretary to prepare sponsorship letters. Any economic research you do would suggest that fundamentally you cannot have your cheapest form of living within your city center. The successful cities have shown that the reverse occurs. Relocation of our CDCs is something that has been on the minds of our leaders, but where is the money to do so? The space then provided by this relocation will allow us to build more government offices that we may reduce on the rent that we are paying, the absorbent rent that we are paying all across the country. Where is the money to do so? Our youth have been crying out for a national youth center at a location that works best for all of us, preferably within the city. And the relocation of these CDC apartments will also provide that. Our agriculture food import bill for 2016 is in excess of $330 million. Cannot our farmers produce and make some of this money for themselves? Of course. But the government at this time lacks the resources and the funds to assist them in the way which is necessary. We have a very incredible capacity to increase on our production. It's good we are self-sufficient in eggs and whatnot, but there are several other vegetables and commodities that our farmers locally can produce. The tourists are planting food in the countries to send here to eat when they get here. This is ridiculous. This needs to be corrected. Let's look at crime. The criminals sit around and tell themselves, hey, we shall gather our weaponry and we shall attack them in broad daylight. Not even fearing our judiciary system or our ability to solve crimes. We need funds. We need monies. We need revenue to increase on our ability to solve these crimes. We have a forensic lab that needs a lot of work, needs to be improved. The criminals are laughing at the system. A lot of them get away with many crimes. Let's look at health that our minister brought up to our attention. We have a new hospital that we have not been able to officially open because of the price or what it takes to run it compared to the one that we have currently. Where do we get the monies? Where are you proposing that we find monies to do so? As our other minister for Chozel brought to our attention, our athletes are suffering. And sports is a huge opportunity for our youth, for the youth of the country, who, by the way, will be forming the leaders of tomorrow. Let me help you understand that within a household, when you do budgeting, an important part of your budget is savings. But as a country, your savings can actually be an investment in the youth, because you're investing in your tomorrow, which is the same thing as saving in a household budget scenario. It is adamant that we use this program in the best way possible to bring in the funds that this country needs at this point in time.
Honorable Member, Leader of Government Business, you now have 2 minutes within which to complete your presentation.
Madam Speaker, I wish there was a way to beg for more time. However, I shall adhere to your advice. Health, back to health. We have a podium in the south. This is a situation that needs correcting at this point in time. We have an unfinished hospital. Sports provides educational opportunities for our youth. It also removes a lot of the young people off the streets. It is known that idle hands are the devil's workshop. And so those idle hands, when you get them involved in sporting activities, you get to reduce crime indirectly. Education. It has been a long time coming that Sir Arthur needs to be upgraded to a full-fledged university. And where are we on this at this point in time? The investment that we make as a country to persons through primary school and secondary school is lost as they go out to study and stay abroad. And monies which should be staying or remain afloat in our economy are also lost as persons go out and pay other universities monies that could have stayed within Saint Lucia. Today I ask you all a question. Did you really think about this bill before you propose it? Is it really what you think needs to be done? And in all of what you have proposed, I have not heard a suggestion of something else, an ulterior plan that can be used instead of CIP. As a people, I urge that instead of always bringing out the negative and saying what is wrong and what should not occur, let us come with alternate solutions. And I ask the opposition today, what is your proposed alternate solution to the removal of CIP? This country, which I am glad to represent, I stand here today not voicing on behalf of myself alone, but on behalf of all St. Lucians. And I urge that we do what is best for the financial stability of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Grosley, Prime Minister and Minister for National Development. Honorable Member for Babonneau, Minister for Finance, Infrastructure and Public Service.
I speak today in a manner that may be understood by both the youth and our leaders, and hope that very soon it becomes one. As the minister responsible for finance, for infrastructure and the public service, and even first as a representative for my beloved Babonneau, I do stand with my fellow government members who seek what's best for the island to say that I stand against the repeal of the Citizen by Investment Act. 2014, it was just a consideration. And as stated by Mr. Emmanuel McLean, the then CEO of the Citizen by Investment Program, 2016, January 1st, it was officially launched, with its objectives to grant economic citizenship to foreign investors in an effort to attract much-needed foreign direct investments into the island. Madam Speaker, what we did is that we put a task force in place to determine if CIP was, in layman's terms, right for Saint Lucia, if it could work. And what it did is that they gave us recommendations, which at the then time, no one disputed. The recommendations were to have 4 choice investment options, what we know as the bonds, enterprise, real estate, as well as donations, which I find is a very iffy word, but donations. We also have to have the appropriate legislative and regulatory framework, as well as to ensure that we provide reports for the progress of this program. Madam Speaker, the 4th recommendation given was to have an appropriate form, a secure way of handling our due diligence for our protection. January 1st, 2017, it marked a year since CIP was officially launched. Do I have to say that you can take yourself, including the opposition, look at the recommendations made? Have they been met? Do we have a due diligence process? Many may question the reports, but it can only go up from there, seeing that we did not have anything in place before which provided us with this income. We have to look towards the future. Now, in terms of due diligence, I'm so happy that the opposition agrees with me. Well, agrees with us. You all agree with us, you know. But I say this because everything that you stand for, everything that you emotionally argue, leads to the fact that CIP will be successful. Your due diligence that you so highly fear, which I do understand why, because it is our national security, that fear only comes into play if the CIP is successful. If I had to go off the books to say egg, and you will say, well, for us to get 10 bad eggs, it's 1,000 people. That is no excuse. 1,000 people does not match 10 bad eggs. It is not worth it. I do agree. But 1,000 people, isn't that successful? Your basis that we should repeal this act because it's not safe is on the basis that it is successful. And I'm not saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, the good will come with the bad. But the companies that we instructed to do our due diligence, these multi-million-dollar companies, these large companies, I find it a little disrespectful to them for us to assume that they cannot do their job. These countries do not only do diligence for us, they don't. And even if we have to, let's say, the Caribbean draws 5,000 people into its midst that has to go through a due diligence process in order to attain citizenship, do you think that these large global companies are not able to carry out due diligence for 5,000 people? Do you really think, then why would we have put them there in the first place? It begs that question. We put these people in there because we know they can carry out the job. For us to sit back and question their ability to carry out due diligence, it's a little disrespectful to these companies, I do have to say. Now, as my Honorable Prime Minister did mention, solutions. I mean, it's also important. If you're willing to criticize, you have to be willing to replace. We are about to get money, if I may say it in layman's terms, Madam Speaker, a way we could never get money before. It's not costing us monetarily a fortune for us to make this money. And yes, you will say it costs us morally, it costs our sovereignty. But allowing others who are willing to invest in our island and gain citizenship does not make us any less of citizens. It does not take away from your independent sovereignty. It does not make you less Lucian. And if you still really think that I hold my rights, as you should, to say that I reject giving citizenship to outsiders, then by all means, please give up any secondary passports or citizenship that you may also have. please refrain from applying for visas. You might as well just stop traveling. Because it's selfish when Saint Lucia want to keep every single person out of their country. But every Christmas they want to travel to the States to shop. Every February, this period of time they want to go to Trinidad, John Carnival. How can we be so selfish to want to keep people out that you want to go into their space and directly infringe on their citizenship? As Minister for Finance, my responsibility is to handle the funds of the government and to allocate it correctly. Right now my job is very difficult as there is not much funds to allocate. Plain and simple. You will say that we are broke, and if we are broke, why lower taxes? But I say we are broke not as a government but as a nation. Madam Speaker, if our nation is broke, why would we want to charge them more taxes? Unless you want to continue paying the 15% tax, that's quite fine for us, you can go ahead. But if our people are complaining we cannot afford these taxes because we are broke, as a government, what are we to do? We cannot allow them to continue getting that pressure. The sad thing is, two things raise: taxes, prices. One thing goes down: wages. And a lot of people may not understand the term, the economic term to when we compare income with outcome. It must forever slip my mind. But a lot of people will not understand it. A lot of people will not fully grasp the concept when they hear it. But it happens to everybody where you make less money than you spend. So, do we continue to charge internally, who are already broke, to make us more profitable? Where does the money go? Taking money from inside and spreading it inside, it's the same money inside. If we were broke at the beginning, we will be broke at the end. Madam Speaker, we have to get the money somewhere else, obviously. And since our opposition is not willing to give up his financially able friends in terms of providing us with that money, we need to get it from somewhere. Now, let's put it as simple as possible. More investments bring more money into the country, cause for better advertising, since we have more investments to talk about, brings in more people, which brings in more money. Do I really need to continue? More money, more investments, bring more money, bring more investments. And as my representative from Mykonos said correctly, we need to start small. If we don't start at all, how are we any better than the last 10, last 15, last 20 years that we've been suffering? So if you are not willing for us to take this small step and gradually grow into the economic threshold and economic power that we want to be, then I say to you, are you a citizen? Do you really want what's best for Saint Lucia if you are willing to turn down an external form of income? Are you a citizen? Do you want what's best for us? What does it cost you personally for the CIP to hold? It costs you your sovereignty. Are you any less of a citizen? No. We are scared. And I say we as a country, not as a government, we are scared that either this country is going to be poor.
Honorable Member, I regret to notify you of the 2 minutes within which you must complete your presentation.
I do appreciate that regret, Madam Speaker. We need to do better. We need to do something. We need to work. Whether you say we've tried something before, we've tried nothing at all, the fact is that we need to get better. So, Madam Speaker, as a representative for Babonneau, the Honorable Minister entrusted with the responsibility for finance, infrastructure, and public service, how can I not support our CIP and ignore the benefits for economic growth and its chance for a better living in my country as a citizen? I was chosen to be here by my peers because they believe that I could make a difference, but also that they believe it was with the CIP. So although this is a debate and my very first intention was to Oh, the passion. My very first intention was to severely dismantle emotional points brought up by the opposition or even thoughts that they may have conjured up. Through my preparation and my training, I learned that I am representing 70% of Saint Lucia, and I am merely a messenger. So, Madam Speaker, my message to carry over to you, my fellow members, my opposition, and Saint Lucia on the whole, is so let's do something. Let's at least give it a try. If it doesn't work, throw it out later, but, and please don't quote me on that, let's give it a try. For our present as youth, and for the daughter that the Lord may bless me with, for their future. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Babino, Minister for Finance, Infrastructure and Public Service. Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Member for Castries East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I take the opportunity to thank our honorable members for the discourse on this bill. Albeit there were fair statements on both sides, and we take that. But Madam Speaker, there is a case in point that we should remember, and it's this fact: what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his own soul? Madam Speaker, very interesting in this debate, where the members state all sorts of things. But Madam Speaker, we need to realize that sovereignty is key to our dependence in this country. We all represent the young people in this country. We all are answerable to the young people of this country. It is said that after we leave, our young people are the ones who would bear that burden. Now, regrettably, our member for Soufrière made mention of our anthem. He shouldn't have done that, Madam Speaker. Because clearly, if you listen to the words of the national anthem, we should stop the debate right now and just leave. And I would help summarize the lyrics of the anthem. Verse 2 says, "Gone the times when nations battle for this Helen of the West. Gone the days when strife and discord dimmed her children's toil and rest. Dawns at last a brighter day, stretches out a glad new way." Is that new way CIP? Are we really and truly taking the program that we consider to bring in money? I know the Prime Minister likes money, Madam Speaker, but still, we cannot forget the fact that we have a country, a patriotic country at that, a country which is admired the world over. We are the Helen of the West, right? It says, "Sons and daughters of Saint Lucia love the land that gave us birth." Who? Us. Birth. Can these investors say that? Can they truly represent what this anthem is saying? Madam Speaker, it goes on to say, "May our people live united, strong in soul and strong in arm. Justice, truth, and charity are our ideals forever be." We need to remember that our sovereignty is what makes us a people. We need to remember that this is what makes us Saint Lucian. We cannot forget about this. We cannot. And I will state categorically, yet again, that peddling our passports will not improve our country's sustainable developmental goals. We say CIP, citizenship by investment. Where is the investment, Madam Speaker? Where is it? I can't seem to see the investment. Donations? What do we do with the donations? Where is the real estate investment? Where are the buildings? Where are the jobs coming into our people? Where is it? Investment? We should throw away the word investment out of this. There is no sustainable investment. Madam Speaker, we need to challenge ourselves and be fair to the people that we represent. We need to step to the people that we represent what our values are, what we really think of our country. And if you are to consider yourselves thinking that fact, you would not want to see your country being sold for petty shingles. You would not want to see that. You would not want to see that. If you look beyond yourself at the end of the day, albeit you had a paper in front of you, that's what you planned on saying. But when you look beyond this and you reflect deeply, you'd realize that this country is not ready to go into such a program. It is not, no matter how much money is collected. I'm talking about money. How do we know? No reports. We don't know who is coming in. We might not know. We hear on the news, just as you guys would hear on the news, sometimes you don't even know. Just like you don't even know. How would we know that these persons who are investing in our country are really and truly qualified? Yes, we have the agencies to prove so, but all the other islands have these agencies as well. There are still cracks in the system. How do we avoid these cracks? These are the things that these are the suggestions that we're making. We need to look diligently at how we proceed with such a program. Madam Speaker, what if the investor, bona fide, gets his passport, he has that access now, he has that power now, he has that range that he could work with, he's a billionaire. And he then decides to take another chance of embezzlement. He decides to do some illicit act. How do we deal with such a situation? Do we have things in place? Yes, we could pull the passport away. But in the news it is there to show that a Saint Lucian citizen, they would not say Indian, they would not say Russian, they would not say Chinese, they would say a Saint Lucian citizen. He provided that passport. He provided that passport to that particular country where that illicit act was done. How do we combat with this? Madam Speaker, I would like to ask the National Security Minister, how does this situation develop? How can this minister and his ministry defend such an action? These are the things that we need to remember, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the member for Denmark, responsibility for heritage, culture, and creative industries. She said that this program is a win-win-win for everybody. I don't see that, Madam Speaker. I don't see that at all. I see win for the applicant. I see lose for the people of this country, because we're not getting anything out of that. And I see draw. I beg you to understand where draw coming in, because I am telling you that many persons will draw financial accounts from these things. The draw alone coming out of that is the monies in the pockets. Those persons that truly benefit from this program, it's not you and me. It's not the people that are waiting for jobs in this country. It is not the persons that are there seeking to find out where the next opportunity comes. The persons that are truly going to benefit from this are the persons that we can't see in the system. The persons that truly try to capitalize on these programs, the persons that are really and truly found out through all of the loopholes in the systems. That's why we get the blacklist. That's why we get the sanctions. These are the persons that truly benefit from this program. We do not benefit from this program. Let's not fool the people, Madam Speaker. The member for Labi said that this country is not a business. And I concur. It is truly not a business. So why should we run this country like a business? Well, I know why. I know why. We are forgetting our sovereignty. We are forgetting that we are here to represent the people of this country and not the assets that we may show up. Not the assets, not the things that we feel that we could get out of dealing with the investors. And we say we're bringing in investment. And where is the investment? Where are the investment opportunities? Yeah. What has happened? Can you tell me what has happened with these programs? Are we not singing the same song? Each member, Madam Speaker, each member highlighted the ills that are within the ministries, within the country, and all over the world, all over the Caribbean. There are the same issues. Unemployment, debt, these same problems occur. But how do we handle it? Where is the investment? And these are the things that we need to look at. These are the things that we need to get out of that. Now, Madam Speaker, the member for the Prime Minister, in his address, sometimes at some point in time I was wondering whether the Prime Minister wanted to cross the floor. He made mention of speaking of the action and reaction, but his attempts at crossing the floor was evident. Maybe he does want to cross the floor, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, more importantly, is that we look at the program and we identify all what the oasis, I would say, the oasis of opportunity that exists in the program. It's an oasis of opportunity. Of course, each island, each country looks at the Citizenship by Investment program and see opportunity. No country will not see opportunity. But how do we manage these opportunities? How do we deal with the issues that exist, first of all? And how do we deal with managing the projects, the donations that come in hand? How do we handle this as a government? And that is very important, Madam Speaker. It is sad. There is a stark reality of the situation which we currently face. And why all of us in Saint Lucia must take a look and fix the problem. There is need to fix the problem. We should stop examine the program to make it a more robust than a more porous program. But in order to do this, we have to be upfront and honest with the people that we represent. We need to tell the people that this program should have the country's sovereignty and value at heart. We need to tell the public servants that this program will reap tremendous benefit to the already burdensome climate. Can we tell them that? Can we truly tell them that? Can we tell the young people in this country that this program will bring relief in employment to them?
Honorable Member, you now have 2 minutes within which you must complete your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can we truly tell them that? Can we truly identify to our taxpayers the fears of not being able to work in their lifetime will be end as a result of these programs? Can we truly look them in the eye, Madam Speaker? This program brings out a real fear to citizens of this country. And you then have to ask the question, is it a risk that we can take as a country? We need to ask that question. Is it a risk that we're willing to take? Is there enough done with this program to continue with it? Or can we stop and take a look, block out all the loopholes, try to strengthen our due diligence, try to make sure that these applicants are truly able to invest in our country, because they may get our passport and go elsewhere. Free movement of labor. What guarantees that they stay in our country and benefit the people of this country? Madam Speaker, at this moment, I say we cannot take that risk. I thank you.
Thank you, Member for Castries East, Leader of the Opposition. Honorable members, the question is that the Citizenship by Investment Repeal Bill be read a second time. I now put the question. As many are as of apologies. As many as are of the opinion, say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. No. I think the noes have it. The noes have it. Honorable Member for Grosley, Prime Minister and Minister for National Development.
Madam Speaker, I beg to present for first reading a bill shortly entitled Elections Amendment Number 2.
Elections Amendment Number 2.
Honorable Member for Grosley, Minister for National Development.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the second reading of this bill be done at a subsequent meeting of this Honorable House.
Honorable members, the question is that Elections Amendment Number 2 bill be presented at the next or subsequent sitting of this Honorable House. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Honorable Member for Grosley, Prime Minister and Minister for National Development.
Madam Speaker, at this time, I beg to move that this House do stand adjourned sine die.
Honorable members, the question is that this Honorable House do stand adjourned sine die. I now put the question. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. This House, this Honorable House, do stand adjourned sine die.
All right.
Well, there you have it. We've come to the end of the live coverage of the National Youth Parliament. I must say this was a very interesting session, and that St. Lucia's youth are full of promise. The Speaker of the House was Caitlin Flora. 17 youth parliamentarians that proposed the issue of national importance and which have implications for the youth. They all represented 17 constituencies as outlined in the constituency boundaries. However, the portfolios did not mirror that of the Cabinet of Ministers but were modified slightly. There was a motion before the House encouraging all St. Lucians to exercise tolerance in the pursuit of advancement of the social and economic agenda. And this was in the context of St. Lucia's celebration of its 38th independence anniversary. Usually but the Independence Committee thought it fitting to make it a part of the events calendar. two bills were tabled before the House. One was the Elections Amendment, and the other was the Citizenship by Investment Program repeal. And that generated much debate coming from both sides of the House. It was really an opportunity for much needed revenue, according to the opposition leader, whilst agreeing that it could indeed provide some much needed funds for the country. He felt that due diligence needed to be done. They were both opposing and proposing views, but the most popular sentiments were that the CIP will provide employment, it will serve as an economic stimulus, it is not entirely a new phenomenon, and the CIP, some thought, was really selling Saint Lucia's patrimony. The CIP, others thought also that is not the way to go, and it will invite persons of suspicious character. The CIP has also generated much debate in our national circles, and it was launched, perhaps you should know, in case you have not heard of it, the CIP was officially launched in 2015, December 29th to be exact, really offering 4 investment platforms by which potential applicants can become citizens of St. Lucia. The St. Lucia National Economic Fund is a special fund established under Section 33 of the CIP Act 14 of 2015. And the fund is really for the purpose of receiving qualifying investments of donations under the CIP by the CIP. Funds collected by the fund will be used for the purpose approved by Cabinet as part of the National Development Agenda. Well, this is where we bring the curtains down on the live broadcast. We want to thank you for joining us, whether you were at home, whether you were at Constitution Park, on the North at your workplace, wherever the broadcast was being received. We want to thank you for being part of this broadcast.
Messieurs et dames, Maman Saint Lucia, tant ça. Est-ce que vous savez, l'année chimique agricole, avec l'autre chimique nous a servi en caille, qu'a échoué un pays sans registrer, et que ça peut affecter santé publique là, généralement, l'année y a un comité en place qui a responsabilité pour registrer, contrôler, et bailler permission pour toute chimique qui a entré en Saint Lucia. Pour importer ces chimiques là.
Doors open to the public from March 10th at 10 a.m. Over 100 OECS exhibitors from across the Caribbean, showcasing authentic products and premium services. The best of the Caribbean, brought to you by TIPA in partnership with the OECS Commission and the Government of Saint Lucia. Title sponsor, Amerijet. Visit Specialty Caribbean Expo for more information. Expo! come, show them what we're made of. Show them what we create. Explore a unique buying experience, the best of the Caribbean.
Too many children are suffering. It's time to break the silence. End child sexual abuse.
It is our responsibility to protect our children.
I will definitely speak out.
I will empower our children.
Be an advocate.
Speak out.
Protéger cette maman-là.
Speak out. Pachenissigwe, Unubu Pale. Speak out.
Pachenissigwe, Pale.
I will speak out.
I will protect you. I will protect you. Break the silence. Break the silence.
Break the silence. End child sexual abuse in Saint Lucia.
A message brought to you from the Ministry of Health, Wellness, Human Services and Gender Relations.
With the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, opportunities to relocate for work as a CARICOM skilled national have been expanded to include 10 categories of persons. 2 of those categories are artisans and household domestics holding a Caribbean Vocational Qualification or CVQ. A CVQ is a certificate you can apply for based on how well you do your job. If you are certified as a household domestic, including housekeepers and home health workers, or an artisan, including persons in the building trade, craft persons and machine operators, you could be eligible to move for work. CVQ standards have been developed with regional employers, so your skills will be recognized wherever you go. Contact your national training agency to find out about CVQs for artisans or household domestics, or visit csmeonline.org for more information. The CARICOM Single Market and Economy. Make it work for you.
Need to get a new passport or other important civil status document and don't know how? Want to check on a payment from government? How about when to pick up your completed driver's license? Looking for information about a government service? Don't get frustrated searching for the right number. Just dial 311, a unique, easy to remember number for non-emergency requests. Our friendly agents are on 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday to help point you in the right direction in both English and Creole. 311 is just one of the ways to access government services. One call, total access, dial 311.
Energy, let us conserve it. Energy, make best use of it. Energy, let's use the sun.